Hey friends of mine, this is Clint Paschall with the Bible Together. Thank you for joining us again for the book of Zechariah as we're walking through this minor prophet book. And we are in a very interesting chapter. Chapter 9 deals with a judgment against Israel's enemies. The prophecy in verses 1 through 8, believe it or not, is about Alexander the Great's conquest through this specific part of the world. His specific battle and conquest is mentioned in two different prophetic books in the Old Testament. One is Daniel, one is Zechariah. They're both very specific. When you go through these 8 verses in Zechariah chapter 9, you will see towns listed. These cities are listed basically in sort of the order that you see Alexander the Great making his conquest as he works through the Holy Land on his way to Egypt. And it's just amazing that this stuff was written down so long, hundreds of years before Alexander the Great was even a thing. God makes a promise that this won't happen again, that the people of God will not be attacked and in exile again the way that they were. Remember, we are after the 70 years of exile from God's people, and Alexander the Great's conquest allowed for more opportunity for God's people to get back home, because he was actually nice to the Jewish people. He conquered all of the other enemies of God, and you see all these prophecies of the way these places fell, and most scholars believe they fell at the hand of, at least in part, to Alexander the Great. God promises in verse 8, "I will encamp at my temple to guard it against marauding forces. Never again will an oppressor overrun my people, for now I am keeping watch." So many promises of God to take care of his people. And then, oh my goodness, listen to this in verse 9. "Rejoice greatly, daughter of Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly, riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." Guys, that specific prophecy of the way Jesus rode into Jerusalem was fulfilled in the gospel accounts of how he rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. Just amazing prophecy that is fulfilled in Jesus. Jesus again shows up in the book of Zechariah. It's just so beautiful. Then there's promises of the Lord appearing in the last part of this chapter, verses 14 through 17. The Lord will sound a trumpet. He will march in the storms of the south. The Lord Almighty will shield his people. They will destroy and overcome with sling stones. They will roar as with wine. They will be full like a bowl used for sprinkling corners of the altar. So much imagery that has to do with sacrifice. God will save his people as a shepherd saves his flock. And verse 17 is a promise about the opulence and the way that the people will be taken care of. He says how attractive and beautiful they'll be. Grain will make the young men thrive, and new wine the young women. So that's a statement about how there will be peace. You will be able to grow grain. You will be able to grow grapes and create new wine, which is grape juice, and it will turn into wine. There is the promise of peaceful time and people being okay. They're going to be taken care of because God will appear. Because first of all, in Zechariah 9, you see the enemies of God being wiped out. Then you see the promise of Messiah. Now you're talking about the Lord will appear and save his people as a shepherd saves his sheep. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful prophecy. Zechariah 9 should make your heart feel good as you are seeing how God is basically telling his people, I love you and I got your back. Even when time feels so hopeless, times are going to get better. You will be beautiful. Times will be attractive. There will be grain growing and grapes growing, and things are going to be okay. And that's a good word for the Jewish people, and it's a good word for us. So God bless you as you are learning the truths of the beautiful words of the prophet Zechariah. I hope it brings hope to your heart like it does mine. That's Zechariah chapter 9. It's really, really cool. Thanks for joining us and doing the Bible together.